There are some conversations people would rather avoid, not because they're unimportant, but because they're uncomfortable. And when something becomes uncomfortable enough, society finds ways to push it to the edges, to label it, dismiss it, or bury it. But the truth is, what we bury doesn't disappear. It waits. Sometimes it shows up in behavior. Sometimes it shows up in silence. And sometimes it shows up in music. Today, we're stepping into a conversation that sits at the intersection of truth, pain, family, and legacy. A conversation sparked by public statements made by Queen Ifrica, allegations involving her father, Derrick Morgan. These are serious claims. They've been publicly denied, and they are now part of an ongoing legal process. So this is not about deciding who is right, and it's not about reducing something this serious into headlines or opinions. This is about something deeper. Because long before statements were made, there was already a song, Daddy. And that raises a different kind of question. How often does pain speak before people are ready to listen? Reggae has always been a space where truth finds a voice. Not polished truth, not comfortable truth, but raw, lived, sometimes inconvenient truth. And when that truth turns inward into family, into lineage, into legacy, it forces us to confront something many communities struggle with. What do we do when the story hits home? Today's reasoning is not about judgment. It's about understanding the weight of speaking, the cost of silence, and the responsibility of listening. Because sometimes the hardest truths to face are the ones closest to us. After this song, For Women, a cover of Nina Simone's poem by Queen Ifrica, Zionia and I will reason this in full. We will also be joined by a special guest, so hit that subscribe button and strap in. Let's vibe.
you. My mouth like wine. Oh, little girl of mine. Anyone who has money to buy, what do they call me? My name is Sweet Thing. Sweet Thing. I say my name is Sweet Thing. Sweet Thing. My name is Sweet Thing. Sweet Thing. My skin is brown. My manner is tough. I'll kill the first fool I see. Oh, my life has been rough. I'm awfully bitter these days, because my parents were slaves. What do they call me? My name is Peaches. I say my name is Peaches. My name is Peaches. Yeah.
What if the stories behind reggae legends are stranger than fiction? Welcome to Reggae Hour, where I'm your host, Mr. E. Each week we dig deep into the roots, the revolution, and the rebels you thought you knew. Stay with me. Today we uncover a chapter that's never made the history books.
As Mr. Flavor, I am proud to bring to you Mr. E's Music Maestro.
Welcome to Reggae Hour. Tonight, we're not shying away from a really difficult but necessary conversation. We need to talk directly about Queen Ifrica and the allegations she has publicly made. This isn't rumor, folks. This is something she has stated in the public sphere since 2023. She's accused her father, Derrick Morgan, of sexual assault, specifically during her adulthood in the 1990s. And what's crucial to acknowledge is that her music, specifically her 2009 song Daddy, has dealt with themes of incest and abuse long before these explicit allegations. She's since connected that song directly to her personal experience. Now, it's equally important to state that Derrick Morgan and his family have publicly and strongly denied these allegations. This isn't a settled matter. It's currently part of a legal dispute. Zionia, when you hear this heavy truth spoken out loud, what's the first thing that resonates with you?
Jano, brother E. When me hear this, me not fit debate the facts them way you put out, because them are the facts way out there. What hit me deeply is the sheer weight, the heavy burden for someone to speak such a thing publicly, especially when it involve your father, especially when it involve the black family and community, where oftentimes we teach for keep quiet, don't air out your dirty linen. The silence, the pressure to keep silent is a heavy garment that some people wear for years and years, burying them truth deep inside. If you find the strength to take that off and speak it, that is a spiritual battle, you understand? That is a journey of liberation, regardless of how the world receive it.
You touch on something so profound there, Zionia, about the spiritual battle and the liberation. Because on the flip side, we see the public reaction, and it's almost instantaneous. People are so quick to either completely believe every word or just as quickly completely dismiss it. There's very little space, it seems, for people to sit in the tension of this is serious and we don't fully know all the intimate details. We don't know the full truth of what transpired behind closed doors. But that discomfort, that middle ground of not knowing seems to be a place people actively avoid. They want the neat, tidy conclusion even when one isn't available.
True, brother. The world wants to compartmentalize, we put it in a box. But truth, real truth, it don't always come in a perfect package. Sometimes it come out in pieces, you know? Like our artists, them spirit vexed, them soul aggrieved, them start sing about the pain before them even find the words to explain it. It manifests in the art first, in the music, in the melody, in the lyrics that hint at a deeper hurt. Then, years later, when the spirit find the strength, the voice come and the words them start flow. It's like the music was preparing the way, opening the gate for the full truth to emerge. So the Daddy song, in that context, it was a prophecy. a precursor to the revelation, a voice before the full voice. Artists often express them pain long before them explain it to the world or even to themselves fully.
That's a powerful way to frame it, Zionia. The music as a precursor to the revelation. So we're left with these two very real, very heavy realities. On one hand, you have a daughter, a public figure herself, making incredibly serious allegations against her father, who is also a legendary public figure. On the other hand, you have that father and his family vehemently denying those allegations. So for the public, for those of us observing this unfold, what are we supposed to do when both of these strong, conflicting realities exist at the very same time? How do we navigate that space responsibly?
The principle, brother, is not for rush for judgment. It's not for choose sides like it's a sport. The principle is for acknowledge the complexity. To understand that truth is not always proven immediately in the way the courts or society want it to be proven. And silence, brother E, silence never mean peace. Sometimes silence is the heaviest burden, the heaviest form of suffering. These situations, them not just about two individuals, them about patterns. Patterns of abuse, patterns of denial, patterns of how families and communities deal or not deal with deep-seated issues. It forces us to look beyond the headlines and ask, how many more people are carrying this kind of burden? How many truths are still waiting to be spoken or sung or whispered?
That's it right there, Zionia. That's the core of it. This isn't about choosing sides. This is about being honest enough to say these conversations are real, they are happening, and they are uncomfortable for a reason. They force us to look within and to look at the systems around us. We can't pretend they're not occurring.
Indeed, brother, for true. Truth like water always finds its level. It has a way of surfacing whether people are ready for it or not. And once it surfaces, it leaves a mark. It forces a reckoning one way or another.
Powerful words, Zionia. And when we come back, we will be joined by my wife and host of podcast Mama Never Told Me, Erica, to talk about families hiding such transgressions instead of seeking justice. Follow us here on Reggae Hour.
Queen Ifrica, tell your song. It's everlasting to want to hear the kettle drum them here. Red. At the fire, when me sing. Yo, see the fire, mama, yeah. What? Get up, people, like you me there, yeah. Yeah, ready right now, we take it and start sending on the food. Now we need somebody can feel we belly dirty, tough, but baby still a man. You see me while they just swallow us, make we walk. Look at it, the poor man hungry and a yarn while just working at the people mocking with a scan. Hold on, we living on free food ticket, but it's only in my mind. Oh no, system corrupt, no sir, it not so fine. We want things fit change, don't tell me say you're trying, guys. Only you want children dying. Hey, down, press a man, where you gonna run to? Down, press a man, where you gonna run to? Down, press a man, where you gonna run on that day. When them a do the wrong thing, I till his side. This a no crab walking, run a crocodile. I priest in a church, wait him a pedophile. That's so couldn't be the right place for me little child. Like rubbish in a bin, we a burn them in a pile. Look good in a me face, tell me if you see no smile. This a fire, you no partial, terribly crucial. Babylon, you brutal, monkey and you fatal. I am sure that you heard it before. The helpless cry from the mouth of the poor. Still they turn a blind eye and a pressure we more. We a go kick on your foot if you know the door. Righteousness and the heights you fi soar. For the suffering nation, free up the cure. Less war, more life, truly viti pure. I grade the natural walk, give me some more radical, feed them down. Press a man, where you gonna run to? Down, press a man, where you gonna run to? Down, press a man, where you gonna run on that day. The food basket them empty, but guns they are plenty. Who know how kids have hatred gonna run to? Down, press a man, where you gonna run to? Oh, that day, when them a do the wrong thing, I till he silent. This a no crab walking, but a crocodile. I priest in a church, wait, him a bedi file. This a couldn't be the right place for me little child. Rubbish in a bin, but them in a pile. Look good in a me face, tell me if you see no smile. This a fire, yellow passion, terribly crucial. Babylon, you're brutal, wicked and you're fatal. I am sure that you heard it before. The helpless cry from the mouth of the poor. Still you turn a blind eye and a pressure way more. We are oh, well, I'm singing a love song. One I love. Hey. Burn some herb with me. Burn some herb with me tonight. Ooh, baby, can you stay just a little longer? Just a little longer. Don't leave me alone. Just a little longer. Load that chalice with me. Burn some herb tonight. Oh, yeah. Share a marijuana kiss with the taste of fruits wine under the moonlight. All night, I got to tell you this today. Just can't let you get away. Ain't got no time to play. That all us danger is delay. Forget about the past, that's yesterday. In your arms is where I wanna be. You look at me, I look away. The night light spread across your face. I look forward to the memories. We both thought it was a phase. Things grew stronger by the day. So on this occasion, would you love to burn some herb with me? Burn some herb with me tonight. Ooh, baby, can you stay just a little longer? Don't leave me alone. Share a chalice with me. Burn some herb tonight. Oh, yeah. Share a marijuana kiss with the taste of fruit wine under the moonlight. All night. Best friends turn lovers is what we are. And me happy say we never met in a no bar. Here we are together, something great has just begun. No need to worry, baby, bring it on. It is good to know that deep inside you felt the same. Cause I always thought you had a thing for Mary Jane. Even though I tried to hide it, I could feel the pain. Me could not live without you, me, I tell you plain. Can I ask you to stay and burn some herb with me? Burn some herb with me tonight. Ooh, baby, can you stay just a little longer? Don't leave me alone. Load that chalice with me. Burn some herb tonight. Oh, yeah. Share a marijuana kiss with the taste of fruit wine under the moonlight. All night, I got to tell you this today. Just can't let you get away. Ain't got no time to play. That's all us danger is delay. Forget about the past, that's yesterday. In your arms is where I wanna be. You look at me, I look away. The night light spread across your face. I look forward to the memories. We both thought it was a phase. Things grew stronger by the day. So on this occasion, would you love to?
Welcome, Reggae Hour family. It's a truly special evening here in the studio because tonight we're not just spinning tunes. We're crossing over into a space of deep, honest, and truly necessary conversation. It's an absolute honor to welcome to the mic not just my incredible wife, but a profound voice in her own right, Erica. She's the brilliant host of the Mama Never Told Me podcast, a platform that I tell you truly creates room for those vital, often uncomfortable discussions we so frequently shy away from, especially within our families and among women. Erica, it's such a pleasure to have you here, bridging these worlds and these conversations with us tonight. Your work is so essential.
Thank you so much, Mr. E. That's such a warm introduction, and it's truly a privilege to be here, sharing this space with you and with Zionia, and to connect with the entire Reggae Hour audience. For those tuning in who might be new to Mama Never Told Me, our show is all about unearthing and unpacking those pivotal conversations we should have had growing up. The lessons, the truths, the insights that our mothers, grandmothers, or aunties perhaps weren't able to share, or that society simply didn't make adequate space for. It's about healing those intergenerational gaps, bringing light to what was hidden, and empowering ourselves and our families to speak our authentic truths. It's a journey of collective healing, really.
Bless up our sister Erica. Sin, you know say the iron and you know say he is the one who always holds space for the truth. And that is a powerful thing. You know, is a true empress, a bringer of light. Me remember clearly the time when I did the Pioneer platform, Mama never told me. And me did the reason about the perimenopause, the transition, and how me did feel a certain way, confused, a bit lost, no clear guidance from the past, you know. And you know, Sister Erica and the other elder women, them who did gather, you know, did provide so much wisdom, so much grounding, so much clarity. You know, did the for me, for real, you know, that sacred space. It mean a lot, you know, to find that kind of sisterhood and support. It speak volumes about the work you do.
That trust, that shared history, that comfort you both have in these deep conversations, Zionia, is truly foundational, and it brings us right into the heart of tonight's reasoning. You know, sometimes we see things play out publicly, situations in the news, headlines that shock us or bring certain issues into sharp relief. And it often reminds us of the deeper currents flowing through our own everyday families, our own homes. These public moments, they're just symptoms, echoes of what's happening behind closed doors. But tonight, this isn't about those headlines or chasing the latest controversy. It's about what happens inside our homes, in our communities, in our very beings. It's about the pervasive, often suffocating culture of silence. So let's dive into it then. Why is it, in your experience, so incredibly common for families, especially in Black communities, to sidestep, to avoid, to just outright refuse to address difficult truths, particularly when that truth involves harm or a deep wound or injustice from within the family itself? What drives that instinct to keep things in the family?
That's a heavy layered question, Mr. E. So much of it comes down to conditioning, passed down especially in Black communities, around protecting the family at all costs. Historically, family was the main, sometimes only, shield against a hostile world. So guarding the family's image, avoiding shame, became survival. You hear it in phrases like, "Don't air our dirty laundry," or "What happens here stays here." Those aren't just sayings, they're commands that shape us, teach us silence as protection, but it's a false protection. It harms the very people it's meant to save, a painful paradox.
True words, Sister Erica. Seen, the silence is not a protection at all. In fact, it's a heavy, heavy burden, like a stone tied to your foot. What is hidden, what we refuse to speak, it not disappear. No, it just go underground, like a deep root system. It linger, it live in the body, in the spirit, and it manifests in the generations that follow, whether we like it or not. It become a spiritual inheritance, a pattern. The ancestors, them carry the weight of them own unspoken traumas, and if we no break the cycle, if we no speak the truth, we simply pass it on to the pick-me them. And then pick me after that. Silence is a deep debt, and one day the universe, the spirit, it will demand that debt be paid, and often it is paid in pain, in sickness, in broken relationships. It's a generational burden.
That's profoundly powerful, Zionia. Silence is a debt and a generational burden. And it makes me think about how this culture of silence shows up so pervasively in our own cultural expressions, even in our music, in our art, in our storytelling. Sometimes the deepest, most difficult stories are told indirectly, through metaphor, through riddles, through parables, through coded language, because the direct truth is too heavy, too dangerous, too loaded to articulate plainly. It's almost like a coded language developed for survival, a way to hint at pain without fully exposing it. But that very coding, while protecting in one sense, also perpetuates the unspoken, doesn't it? It keeps the secret alive.
Absolutely, Mr. E. That coded language, while understandable as a survival mechanism in certain contexts, can be incredibly isolating and damaging on a very personal, lived reality level, especially for survivors of harm within the family. When their direct truth, their direct experience is denied, when they're told that didn't happen, or you're exaggerating, you just need to get over it, or just move on, don't stir up trouble, it creates a deep chasm in their identity. It forces them to question their own reality, their own memories, their own sanity. How can you heal from something that, according to your family, never even occurred? This denial impacts everything: their self-worth, their ability to trust others, to form healthy relationships, and ultimately their capacity for authentic healing. They internalize the message that their truth is not worthy, or worse, that they are not worthy of belief or protection.
Yeah, man. And the elders, them have a heavy role to play in all of this, you know. It's not just about protecting the family name or the external image for the community to see. It's about protecting the actual truth, protecting the justice, and most important, protecting the well-being of the next generation. If the elders, them, the pillars of the community, if them not speak the truth, if them not stand for the truth, then who will? How the picnic them will learn to discern, to know right from wrong, if the ones who for guide them choose to bury the wrongs, to ignore the pain? A true elder, a true Rasta elder, teach the youth to face the shadow, to confront the darkness, not to hide from it or pretend it not exist. Silence in the face of injustice is a form of complicity.
So if we take that profound wisdom that Zionia just laid out and Erica's incredibly insightful perspective on the personal cost and the impact on identity, it becomes glaringly clear, doesn't it? That healing, true and complete healing, cannot even begin where truth is not allowed to exist. It's like trying to put a small Band-Aid on a gaping infected wound without ever cleaning it, without ever acknowledging the depth of the damage. You're just covering it up, allowing the infection to spread beneath the surface.
Exactly. The wound festers, and it often metastasizes into other areas of a person's life or even into the family's collective consciousness. And what's absolutely crucial to understand is that silence isn't protection. It's always, ultimately, postponement. You're not making the problem disappear. You're just delaying the inevitable reckoning. And so often that delay, that long period of denial, makes the eventual truth-telling, the eventual confrontation, far more painful and far more destructive. Not just for the individual who suffered, but for the entire family system. The pressure builds, the anger simmers until it erupts, often in ways that are far harder to contain or repair. It's like a pressure cooker.
True, Sister Erica. Sin, what we refuse to face, we pass on. That is the natural law. It becomes a legacy of pain, a legacy of unspoken burdens, a legacy of broken spirits and fragmented souls. We have to understand that the truth, it may bring discomfort. It may disrupt the family in the short term. Yes, it may shake things up, challenge the foundations, even cause temporary division. But the silence, the denial, it ultimately destroys the individual from the inside out. It erodes the spirit, one drop at a time, until nothing left but a hollow shell, full of resentment and bitterness. Better the disruption, better the discomfort, for the sake of true liberation, true peace, and for the generations to come. The family might feel broken for a moment, but it can rebuild stronger, with truth as its foundation.
Those are powerful thematic anchors, Zionia, Erica. Silence is not protection. It is postponement. What we refuse to face, we pass on. And truth may disrupt the family, but silence destroys the individual. These aren't just phrases. They're lived realities, deep scars, and profound awakenings for so many. And they really encapsulate the core of what we're reasoning about tonight, the necessity of courageously choosing truth, even when it feels like a monumental task. As we bring this profound part of our reasoning to a close tonight, I want to pose a final question, one for all of us here in the studio and for our listeners to sit with, to ponder, to carry forward. What does it truly look like, practically, viscerally, for a community, for a family, to consciously and collectively choose truth, even when that truth is deeply uncomfortable, even when it means dismantling old structures, old ideas of who we are, or what our family has always represented to the world?
That's the ultimate journey, Mr. E, and it requires immense courage, vulnerability, and a collective commitment. It looks like creating spaces within our own homes, within our own immediate families, where honesty is not just tolerated, but actively celebrated and protected, where a child feels genuinely safe to speak their truth, no matter how difficult, no matter how inconvenient, and knows deep in their bones that they will be believed, supported, and fiercely protected. It means actively listening without judgment, validating experiences, and consciously, deliberately breaking those generational chains of don't talk about it. It's about consciously choosing to be the generation that heals rather than the one that simply perpetuates the silence. It's messy, it's hard, but it's the only way forward.
Yeah, man. Hear that, Sister Erica. The truth, it no come for destroy, no. That is a misunderstanding. It come for reveal. It come for bring light to the darkness, to the hidden corners, to the unacknowledged pain. And what is revealed in the light, what is brought to the surface, what is finally acknowledged, that is what can finally be healed. It's a spiritual cleansing, a liberation for the soul, a release from the ancestral burdens. So let us not fear the truth, brethren and sister on, for the truth shall set us free. It will set us free, not just the individual spirit, but the whole family, the whole community, the whole nation. Open the heart, open the mind, and let the truth flow like a healing river, washing away the burdens and making space for new life, new growth, new understanding. Let the silence be broken so the healing can begin. Sin?
Powerful, truly powerful words, Zionia. What is revealed can finally be healed. A profound, resonant note to end on. We leave it there tonight, family. Sit with these words, reflect on them, ponder their implications for your own lives, your own families, your own communities, and may they guide us all toward a path of deeper honesty, profound healing, and true liberation. Zionia and I will be back after some more Queen Ifrica on Reggae Hour.
Queen Ifrica come again to tell the youth them the truth, yeah. Defending the poor all across the earth. Babylon, we never got the shutters. How can you? Babylon, I use might and I try fight right. I seek justice for genocide, yeah. Blood sucking vampires who no crawl by night. Burn them filthy ways, judge and not like that. Babylon, I use might and I try fight right. I seek justice for genocide, yeah. Blood sucking vampires who they crawl by night. Burn them filthy ways, judge and not like that. And I beg on a plea and a bargain. Where the action I tweet and a talking. Pure innocent people you're talking. But the kingdom come in a falling. Will they use them blood for your shoulder? You will have no strength when the hold that heart to the B-side. Cause I'm a son now. Wicked like a milk and a fret and a wonder. Just wipe the tears from your eyes. Cause they will never keep us down. We wear up full crown, I tell you. Listen the words of the wise. The victory will be yours and mine. So praise the king and sing. Right across the universe, the people suffering. Dirty Babylon, no care at all. Is all them gathering. Innocent a cry, plenty die because of you coming. So you scatter no more, just all them know now is coming. You invade the city and you rape and kill. Murdering innocent against the right and will. Bigger heads, we not really want no more blood spill. It look like your ears want drill. I smell a revolution coming in a very short while. If them no ease up the pressure on the discipline, try it about red like a fire. If we start get wild, me want the nation smile for a while. And just by the tears from your eyes, cause they will never keep us down. Me wear up full crown, I tell you. Listen the words of the wise. The victory will be yours and mine. So praise the king and not another. Just by the tears from your eyes, cause they will never keep us down. Me wear up full crown, I tell you. Listen the words of the wise. The victory will be yours and mine. So praise the king and sing. We are go burn them until them know themselves. Everlasting cleansing, Vatican you melt to the east, to the east. Watch it with your bloody feet. Make it freeze, fire bring you to your knees. Free my people, just wipe the tears from your eyes. Cause they will never keep us down. Now we're up full crown, I tell you. Listen the words of the wise. The victory will be yours and mine. So praise the king and not another. Just wipe the tears from your eyes. Cause they will never keep us down. They will up full crown, I tell you. Listen the words of the wise. The victory will be yours and mine. So praise the king and sing you. And I'm in a plea and I'm moving. With the action I do it and I'm talking. Pure innocent people you're talking. But the kingdom come in a falling. With the use them blood for your shoulder. You will have no strength when I hold that heart to the B-side. Cause I'm a son now. Wicked like a milk and a fret and a wonder. Babylon now use might and I try fight right. I seek justice for genocide, yeah. Blood sucking vampires so they crawl by night. Burn them filthy ways that they not like, yeah. Babylon I use might and I try fight right. I seek justice for genocide, yeah. Blood sucking vampires so they crawl by night. Burn them filthy ways that they not like, yeah. Just wipe the tears from your eyes. Cause they will never keep us down. Long live the memories of my brother Gitsay. Born free and that's all I'm gonna say. I am a descendant of the earth, I know pagan. Don't you believe that you can take away my pride? Gideon boot kick you, make you slide. Firm in the heights, I go seek island Mount Iron. Never wanna get caught in them corruption. A new set of free generation a rise up. And to why that is enough. If I never feed the one, Mr. Big Poverty will not be. And all who are fighting the earth will agree. And a one and a two, every nation a be. And all them are asking a chance to be free. Leave those refugees, they all wanna save their families. War have made them very unhappy. Better make amends and make it snappy. Mayday, mayday, do you copy? Pick up the phone, you're acting crappy. Come come to the children rescue. You can run them and let them get you. I say to keep and care them, so just give us what we need. Don't tell us you're not willing, cause it's just because of greed. Born free, and that's all I'm gonna say. I am a descendant of the earth, I know pagan. Don't you believe that you can take away my pride? Gideon boot kick you, make you slide. Firm in the heights, I go seek island, Mount Iron. Never wanna get caught in them corruption. A new set of free generation, I rise up, I rise up. Alright, I speak on behalf of the people, and them say they burn you out because you're evil. The rice where you give them the eat full of weevil. The drinks where you give them the drink full of nigger. Fakers ever, that's why we no feel you. War we no love but a reason. I a reason about the famine and disaster we take hold in Africa. Break down the walls of genocide in a door. For blood stain the villages, G8 say no more. Find it in yourself to give an answer to the poor. Alright, born free, and that's all I'm gonna say. A descendant of the earth, I know pagan. Don't you believe that you can take away my pride? Gideon boot kick you, make you slide. Firm in the heights, I go seek island, Mount Iron. Never wanna get caught in them corruption. A new set of free generation, I rise up, I rise up. Yo, never loot to the truth, kill the vine, the root. Never mind, never root, come clean with the use. Stop pies of the fruit, everything you pollute to the rap, with the grave, with the rave, with the shit. That's all I'm gonna say. I am a descendant of the earth, I know pagan. Don't you believe that you can take away my pride? Gideon boot kick you, make you slide. Firm in the heights, I go seek island, Mount Iron. Never wanna get caught in them corruption. A free set, a new generation, a rise up. Them a rise up. Yo, born free, that's all I'm gonna say. I am descendant of the earth, I know pagan. Don't you believe that you can take away my pride? Gideon boot kick you, make you slide. Firm in the heights, I go seek island, Mount Iron. Never wanna get caught in them corruption. A free set, a new generation, a rise up. Them a rise up. Born free, that's all I'm gonna say. Born free, that's all I'm gonna say. Born free, that's all I'm gonna say. It's got to tell you, say, yeah. Born free, that's all I'm gonna say.
Welcome back to Reggae Hour, to our reasoning segment. Tonight we're stepping into some truly heavy territory, a space that often makes us as a culture quite uncomfortable. You know, it's about the tension that arises when stories from deep within our foundational families, our artistic lineages, come to the forefront, carrying pain, carrying accusation, and challenging how we understand legacy itself. It's a complex thing, this clash of personal truth and public perception, especially when it involves figures we've long held in high esteem. It really hits home in a unique way, doesn't it?
True words, brother. It hit deep in the soul like a bass line that vibrate the whole body. For real, this I think it show we say truth ain't always walk straight like a clear road. Sometimes truth is a winding path through bush and over rock, and it might lead you to places you never expect. Pain, you see it, have to find a way to express itself. It's ya stay buried forever, it bursts forth. Sometimes in the art, sometimes in the word, and sometimes in the public square, before we even fully comprehend the depths of it. The soul cry out, and sometimes the rhythm catch it before the mind even process the meaning.
That's a profound way to put it, Zayonia. The rhythm catch it before the mind even process the meaning. Because for generations, reggae has been that very vehicle, hasn't it? It has been the sound of the streets, the cry against oppression, the voice of the voiceless. We've celebrated its ability to speak uncomfortable truths, to challenge power structures, to expose injustice, whether it was social, political, or economic. But what happens, I wonder, when that truth-telling turns inward, when the struggle isn't with Babylon out there, but with perceived pain and injustice within the very fabric of family, within the very lineage that gave us the music? That's a different kind of fire, a different kind of reasoning to navigate, isn't it?
A different kind of fire, yes, brother. And sometimes the fire burn hot within the house before it reach the yard. You see, lineage, it's like the root of a mighty tree. It's strong, it's ancient, it carry the wisdom and the strength. But even the root, it can hold both sweet and bitter. Being the fruit of a great tree, the picnic of a legend, it don't make you immune to the human experience. It don't exempt you from the trials and the sorrows that flesh is heir to. The music, it is a legacy. Yes, a gift to the world, a sacred thing. But the personal journey, the individual path, that is another thing entirely. One's personal pain, it's a diminish the artistry or the impact of a next man's legacy, no. But at the same time, the legacy, the greatness, it's a erase the realness of the pain. The river flow and it carry many things. Some clean, some mud, some hidden beneath the surface. And sometimes the river itself get troubled.
That imagery of the river carrying both clean and mud, that really resonates because as listeners, as observers in this cultural space, we're often caught in that current, aren't we? We hear these conflicting narratives, a powerful personal testimony on one hand, and the strong denials and defenses of a legacy on the other. And in this age of instant information and social media, there's such a pressure to pick a side, to declare guilt or innocence. But that's not what reasoning is about. Reasoning as we know it is about seeking understanding, about finding the overstanding, as we say. How do we, the public, the community, approach these situations without rushing to judgment, but also without dismissing the deeply felt lived experience that someone is sharing?
Brother, that is the crucial question. For here is not always for judge. For listen, truly listen is for open the heart and the spirit and for allow the words to resonate, to explore the space them occupy. Each man and woman carry them own burden, them own story, them own truth as them experience it. And sometimes personal truth, it feels so raw, so real, so undeniable to the one living it. But public proof, it follow different rules, different pathways. It seek documents, witnesses, external validation. Them two things, personal truth and public proof, them not always align perfectly, especially when memory and emotion are part of the equation. We must learn to hold space for the nuance, for the gray areas, for the possibility that multiple truths can exist even if them clash like symbols. To dismiss a lived experience is to deny someone them humanity. To rush to judgment is to close the door and understand.
I think that's where responsibility comes in, doesn't it? Our collective responsibility, not just as individuals listening, but for the media outlets that report on these things, for the platforms that amplify voices, and for the culture itself. Are we creating spaces where healing can eventually take place, or are we just fueling division and sensationalism? We have a responsibility to our artists, to their families, to the integrity of our cultural narratives, and to the truth itself, however uncomfortable it may be. How do we protect the art? How do we honor the legacy without ignoring the complex humanity of the artists and their kin? It's about more than just the music. It's about the lives interwoven with it.
Indeed, brother, it's about the whole tapestry, not just one thread. And that responsibility, it reach into the spiritual realm too. Truth, you see, it's like a seed. It take time for germinate, for grow, for bloom in its own season. Some truths are not for immediate consumption, not for quick resolution in the court of public opinion. The Most High Jah Rastafari reveal in his own time, and sometimes the universe itself present the answers through the slow unfolding of events, through introspection, through the very act of living. We must hold the faith and listen with the inner ear, not just the outer one. If you truly hear the heart of the matter, one have to have patience and humility, and a willingness to acknowledge the mystery of life itself. Some things them just are, and we have to learn to hold them in the balance until the time reveal more.
That's a powerful and necessary reminder, Zionia, to hold these things in balance. It leaves us with a profound question, one that reverberates long after the music fades and the echoes remain. How do we hold space for truth, for pain, and for legacy all at the same time? It's a question that demands continuous reasoning, continuous reflection. There's something we don't always say out loud. Truth doesn't always arrive in a way that's easy to hold. Sometimes it disrupts. Sometimes it divides. And sometimes it exposes things people have spent years trying to keep hidden. But one thing is certain. Silence has never healed anything. It may protect image. It may preserve comfort. It may even hold a family together temporarily. But underneath that silence, something is always waiting to be acknowledged. And when it isn't, it doesn't disappear. It gets carried from one generation to the next. What we've touched on today isn't just about one situation. It's about a pattern. A pattern where voices are questioned before they're heard. Where pain is minimized to maintain order. and where truth becomes negotiable depending on who it affects. But healing doesn't begin where truth is debated. It begins where truth is allowed to exist. Not rushed, not forced, but not silenced either. Because whether people are ready or not, truth has a way of surfacing. And when it does, we're left with a choice. Do we look away, or do we create space for it to be understood? That's not a question for headlines. That's a question for all of us.